If you want to get a job in the fashion industry, you might find yourself at a point where you need to build your resume, your first CV, because you have to apply in order to get the position that you're dreaming about. Whether you want to work for a luxury fashion brand, you want to work for the fashion magazine, we always get to that point of drafting the first resume, or perhaps you already have one, but maybe things are not working out correctly, like you feel a little bit lost about the information to add inside. You've already tried to apply, but perhaps you're not getting results, or you are wondering if what you built so far is great for fashion companies. So in this video, I'm going to break down what makes a great fashion resume. I've been a fashion career mentor for almost 10 years now. I worked in the fashion industry first at Alexander McQueen, Kering and Net reporter before launching Glam and the Glam Fashion Academy, where I've taught over 4,000 fashion enthusiasts how to land their dream role in fashion. So today I'm breaking down the best tips that I have for you and that work this year if you want to land the role of your dreams in the fashion industry. So take notes, because I'm going to break down some key actionable things that you can do to build a successful fashion resume. The first point that I want to touch here is that you don't necessarily need extensive experience in the fashion industry to be hired by even the top luxury fashion companies. I also, when I first got started almost like a decade ago now, I found myself at a point when I had a very short resume. We all start from there. Think about anyone you admire in the fashion industry, designers, stylists, editors. Everyone started from scratch, where on their resume there was just their degree, or if they were still student, there was just like their high school diploma, or even like the degree they were currently taking. So it is absolutely normal to have a short resume. But still, there are some tricks that you can use to make your resume looks more enticing and interesting for fashion recruiters. And I'm going to share the story of what happened to me with the recruiter at Alexander McQueen when I got my first e-commerce internship. So for those of you who don't know me and it's the first time that we're seeing each other, I have a bachelor degree in management engineering. And then I moved to Milan because I wanted to get a job in fashion, and I was convinced that my management engineering degree wasn't enough to break into the fashion industry. Now, as a fashion career mentor, I always say that traditional degrees are enough to work in the fashion industry, but back then, because no one guided me, I was convinced that my degree wasn't enough. So I decided to do a master in luxury and fashion management. And when I, of course, was about to apply for my first fashion internships, my resume had my bachelor degree, my master's degree, but also it had something else. I had some online fashion courses to my resume, because when I graduated in management engineering, before starting my master, I think I had like 6 months before starting the master. So because I always loved fashion, but I didn't live in a fashion capital, so I couldn't go to a fashion school when I was studying management engineering, and I graduated just from a simple city in the south of Italy. What I was doing to connect with my passion was like taking some online fashion courses. So during my management engineering degree, and also from the time before I started my master, I kept taking online fashion courses, which I also kept doing during my master in luxury and fashion management. And so when I was about to write my first resume, I added those online courses to my resume, to my CV, because first of all, I thought that it was okay to add online fashion courses. Some people wonder whether they can add online fashion courses, and as long as, of course, you get a certification for the course, it's not like a free webinar, but it's like a full course, you can add those to your resume. So for example, I added the courses to my resume, and also I didn't stop there. So I just didn't add the title of the course, but it went more in depth, like adding a couple of bullet points with key lessons learned from that course, topics that could be relevant for the recruiter who was reading my resume. So even though I didn't have experience in fashion, they could see that still I knew a little bit of some of the key areas of the fashion industry that I learned through some online fashion courses. And when I built the resume and I went to the job interview, the recruiter asked me about those online fashion courses. And I was surprised because I had that master in luxury and fashion management, which was way more expensive than my online fashion courses. And I thought that it was like, what what really impressed companies when I applied. And what really surprised me is that the recruiter told me that, of course, at this big luxury fashion brands, they're very used to receive applications from fashion students from the top fashion schools. So that is great that you're taking this master's, but it's no longer the thing that is going to make you more interesting to recruiters compared to other people. So it's not like any longer the competitive advantage. So it's not that you take a master and you automatically can get a job. So she was very impressed by those online fashion courses because she said that those really showcase my genuine and real interest in the fashion industry and into my self-development process. So it was more the mindset that she was really happy with and impressed with, because those online courses really showcase my proactivity, because I didn't just stop at my master in luxury fashion management. I was very proactive, keeping learning about fashion, and even before taking the master, I've always wanted to stay updated with the industry and learning more and more about that. And it was really the mindset that impressed the recruiter, because I didn't have experience, so they couldn't really evaluate anything else. So when you're building your resume, you can think of other ways you can showcase your mindset, your personality, your passion for the fashion industry, because everyone can say that I'm a fashion enthusiast, I love fashion. And if you want to work in fashion, do not just say I love fashion. So a way to demonstrate your passion for the fashion industry could be through your resume, could be, for example, to add a couple of these online courses to your resume so that it can showcase your knowledge, but also your passion, and the fact that you're also proactive and keeping learning about fashion on an ongoing basis. So it's not just the master, because many take a master and they believe that, okay, I'm taking this master so I will get a job, but it's not always like that. So it is more, the traditional path is that you get a degree, you get a master, and then you expect to get the job. Instead, all of the other courses that you take beyond the traditional degree demonstrate something else, something extra. So how to structure the resume at the end of the day. So lesson 1, when you add your education, you can add your online fashion courses as well if they do provide a certificate. So that's why when I launched my fashion academy, I wanted to release certification with my courses. And do not just stop at adding the name of the course, but try to add some bullet points that represent, for example, key lessons or projects that you're doing with that course. For example, with my Break into the Fashion Industry course, I assigned some projects to my student in marketing, PR, buying, design, styling, so they can choose the project that is most aligned with the career they want to get, and they can add that project to their resume as well with bullet points. And why you want to do that? Because my second tip on building the perfect fashion resume or fashion CV is that it has to be customized to the brand, and it has to contain the keywords of the job description. Most common mistake that I see people making with their resume is that they build just one that they're going to use for all of the jobs, and this is a big mistake because you have to customize the resume to the position. Don't build just one resume and use it for all the jobs, randomly applying everywhere, because this is a strategy that is not going to be effective. So add the keywords of the job description inside your resume. You can add these keywords inside the description of past experiences if you have those, a description of online courses or any course that you're taking, into your skills, of course. So when you're building your CV, think about incorporating all of these keywords inside different parts of your resume. The second thing that I wanted to touch about the structure of your resume is that it should fit in one page, especially if you're at the beginning of your career when you don't have experience. Try to fit everything in one page, because remember that you have to be concise when you're writing about yourself in your resume. So do not add too many things. Also, when you add these bullet points, make sure that you add just the key things that are going to make you stand out and make the recruiter interested in wanting to learn more about you. You can then be more like telling a little bit more about yourself in your cover letter and your portfolio during the job interview. But also the fact that you can break up your information inside your resume is a skill as well that recruiter look at. It's like a communication skill. It's like being able to concise the information and always and only focus on the most important things. Another tip to build the perfect resume is to make sure that you use a chronological order. On top of your resume, you should have your most recent experience or your course. Make sure you also keep a professional template so that the formatting is consistent all over the document. So for example, for titles, you always use the same size across the document. For the body or the bullet points, you only use the same title across all of the resume. You can be a little bit creative with design, depending also on what role you're getting into fashion. If you are like getting a more creative role, such as graphic designer, maybe you want to play a little bit more with the design, rather than if you want to get a job into fashion marketing or merchandising, you can be a little bit more simple, but make sure that you have a catchy template that stands out. Make sure that you save your resume as a PDF when you send it out, so do not send any Word document or any Google Drive document, but always try to send the PDF. And it's also important how you name your PDF. Name your resume PDF with your name, your surname, and resume, so that is also professional and polished. So the key sections that should never be missing from your fashion resume is your education, especially if you're at the beginning of your career. Probably your education is going to be at the top of your resume because you don't have experience, but otherwise it's like experience, education with some online courses as well. If you don't have experience, have your education at the top and the online courses. And if you have a 2-column template, you can have the experience and education, and you can have the skills section on the other column. But anyway, experience, education, skills, and also languages are super important in the fashion industry, because fashion is an international industry and speaking 2 or more languages is going to just be an advantage. Many of you ask me if it is important to speak the local language if you want to work in Italy, if you want to work in France, and the answer is of course. If you know the language, you're going to have more chances of getting the role. So make sure that on your resume you add not just the language, so not just like Italian, English, French, but you also add the level. So for example, fluent in English, intermediate, so you can add the level, as well as also when you list your skills. So with skills, it is important to think about quality over quantity. So you don't necessarily need to have like an extensive list of skills that you're just adding to fill your resume. You need only the most important ones, and only the most important ones for that specific role, because the skills required in fashion are not the same. So if you're applying for a fashion marketing role, you will need the set of skills that are important for that specific role. If you're applying for a fashion PR position, of course, as you can tell, your communication skills are more important than knowing how to sew, how to sketch. Not all of the skills are the same in fashion. So read carefully the job description of the internship or job you want to apply for, and make sure that the skills you add to your resume are the ones that are outlined in the job description. In my Break into the Fashion Industry course, I teach reverse engineering process of adding the skills to your resume. So most people add the skills on their resume by thinking about, okay, what I believe that I have. I think I might have communication skills, I think I might have presentation skills, but this might be a little bit confusing. Try to identify what are the skills that you already possess. And another tip here is that you don't only gain skills through work experiences, you already have so many skills that you maybe don't consider, because we all gain skills also through other personal experiences, projects in school. So you already have so many skills that you maybe didn't consider. So start from the job description instead of trying to list the skills that you believe you have, and cross-check if you believe that you have the ones listed in the job description, then you can add them to your resume. So in this way, you're also making sure that you're adding the right skills to your resume, and not that you're just randomly adding skills that you possess but that might not be relevant for the position. So for example, even when I hire for Glam Observer and I post a job description on the website, like if I'm hiring a social media intern or for a social media role, and I ask the people, the resource should have like knowledge of Canva or any other video editing tool. And when I open the resume of the applicants, I can say, because if I read that that person added Canva or the other video editing softwares to the skills, not only they read the job description, but they also have the right skills. So when you add the right skills to your resume, you not only position yourself as as the candidate who is perfectly aligned with the position, but also as someone who really read carefully the job description before applying. Because many make the mistake of just randomly applying for so many jobs, so many internships, just to get one job, and companies are going to notice that. Whenever I do receive an application for people who want to join the Glam server team of just a simple email with just a resume attached and no any other description, like I'm just looking for a job in fashion, or no a proper subject line, all of these things are breaking your applications. I don't neither consider these people applying. So there are many steps that make a successful job application, and since I noticed that so many are making these mistakes, inside my Break into the Fashion Industry course, which I launched first in 2018 and now is of course updated, I always try to touch all of these mistakes that I see over and over again now as a fashion educator and mentor. Also, something to keep in mind is that some companies might use applicant tracking systems that scan resumes in order to identify if there are the keywords inside. These applicant tracking system might or not might read all of the template formats, so you want to make sure that your template is readable by this ATS system. And also nowadays we're going more into some advanced AI scanning tools. So artificial intelligence is present in the recruitment process. So some brands and recruiters use artificial intelligence for the recruiting part, so scanning the first resume or helping with the first part of the application. So these tools are a bit more precise when it comes to the design, but something that should never be missing from your resume, the right keywords. So that's why personalizing your resume is fundamental, because even if you have a great template, or even if you have the best school or the best experience on your resume, but if you don't know how to present yourself correctly with a strong resume, which is not just given by a strong template, a nice professional template, that is important, but it's also important how you list your skills and experiences on your resume. All right, so these were my tips on building your perfect fashion resume. Really hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have questions, and if you want to learn step by step with tutorials and videos and templates how to build the perfect fashion resume, but also cover letter, portfolio, and how to apply for jobs in fashion, check out my Break into the Fashion Industry course. I will leave you all of the links into the description. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.